Brother and sister, we celebrate today the feast of Christ our King. Usually when we think of a king, we think of someone who is very remote from his people and of someone who strictly rule over them. But our King Christ is not like that. He lives among us, and he came not to rule, but to serve. In the first reading, God is portrayed not so much as a king or a judge for his people, but as someone who cares for them, as a good shepherd who cares for his flock, and even show particular care for the weak and the wounded ones. The fact that in Jesus God became human and lived among us has the big advantage of making him near us, and also as making him always present in our daily life. But at the same time, God takes the risk of not being recognized for what he really is. Please, let us listen to that very simple happening. At the end of the 19th centuries, in the city of Paris, one day, a rather poorly dressed priest showed up at the presbytery looking for a night lodging. He had come all the way from Italy and was trying to raise funds to build a church. In fact, the visitor name was John Bosco. But this means nothing for the parish priest who was there. So he welcomed him, but he put him in a attic, a very small room under the roof of the house. Many years later, when John Bosco was declared a saint by the church, that parish priest said, "Oh, had I known it was John Bosco, I would not have put him under the roof. On the contrary, I will have given him the best room in the house." Brother and sister, is it not the same words we just heard in today's gospel? Lord, if only we had known it was you, we had never have treated you like this. But we thought it was only some common person who was not worthy of our help. But Jesus said that his disciples will be judged precisely by their response to such people: the poor, the lowly, and the unimportant one. Let us acknowledge that it is easy to be kind to an important one. Why? Because there is or there will be a return in some shape or form. But it is quite another matter to be kind to those from whom we can expect nothing in return, perhaps not even an expression of thanks. Saint Mother Teresa, in some of her memorable words, said one day, "In our world today, many are starving from ordinary bread, but there is another kind of hunger, the hunger to be wanted, to be loved, to be recognized." She continues saying, "Nakedness, too, is not just the want of clothes, but also about the loss of dignity, purity, and of self-respect. And homelessness is not just the want of a house. There is worse, the homelessness of being rejected, of being unwanted in a throwaway society. So, what the poor needs, even more than food, clothes, and shelter, is to be wanted. The biggest disease in our world today maybe is not the COVID-19, but it is the feeling of being unwanted and uncared for. The greatest evil in our world is the lack of love, and especially that terrible indifference towards our neighbor, then especially toward those in need. So, brother and sister, please let us be careful. We never know exactly who it is we are meeting in the person of our neighbor. But it is not so important. What is important is that we see in that person a needy human being, and that we do our best to meet his need. And for those with faith, we should have, always keep in mind that behind the face of the person in front of us, no matter how strange he or she looks, the face of Christ, our King, lies hiding. So, Lord, come and warm our cold heart with your grace, so that we, your disciple, may produce real fruit of love. Amen.